Hello again. I'm here with my YA book haul for July. And I went a little crazy this month with some YA books. These are the YA books I picked up in July. So this may be a really long video. So let's just get into it. First book I'm going to talk about here is Hull Metal Girls. One has everything to fight for, one has nothing to lose. Together they hold the fate of humanity in their hands. So let me read a little bit more about it here. Asha Unhad will do anything for her family. When her brother contracts a plague, she knows her janitor's salary isn't enough to fund the treatment. So she volunteers to become a Skella, a mechanically enhanced soldier, sworn to protect and serve the government body of the fleet, the collective of starships they call home. If Asha can survive the harrowing modifications and earn an elite place in the Scalia ranks, she may be able to save her brother. Ki Tanaka awakens in a Scalia body with only hazy memories of her life before. She knows she's from her privileged end of the fleet, but she has no recollection of why she chose to give up a life of luxury to become a hulking cyborg soldier. If she can make it through the training, she might have a shot at recovering her missing past. In a unit of new recruits vying for top placement, Aisha and Ki's paths collide, and the two must learn to work together. A tall order for girls from opposite ends of the fleet, but a rebellion is stirring, pitting those who yearn for independence from the fleet against a government struggling to maintain unity. With violence brewing and dark secrets surfacing, Aisha and Ki find themselves questioning their loyalties. They will have to put aside their differences, though, if they want to keep humanity from tearing itself apart. So that's the first book I picked up. Nice little sci-fi, kind of a military sci-fi YA book that sounded interesting. Next book I have is When Life Gives You Demons, which is a cool title. 16-year-old Shelby Black has spent the past 6 months training to be an exorcist. All because her great-uncle Roy, a Catholic priest and Shelby's guardian, believes she has a gift for expelling demons. He's put her through exorcist boot camp hell, hoping to develop her talent, but oh my god, he still doesn't trust her to do an exorcism on her own. High school is hard enough without having to explain that you fight demons for a living, so Shelby keeps her extracurricular activities to herself. The last thing she wants is for Spencer, the hottest guy in school, to find out what she's done in her spare time. But Shelby knows how to keep a secret, even a big one, like the fact that her mom left under mysterious circumstances and it's all her fault. Shelby is hell-bent on finding her mom no matter what, even if it ends up costing both her soul and her relationship with Spencer. So, a exorcist love story, kind of interesting book that sounds kind of cool. I definitely want to pick it. I definitely want to read this book. That is When Life Gives You Demons. Next one is the one I'm probably most anticipated reading, which is Campfire. This is one of the James Patterson Presents books. I actually have a couple of James Patterson Presents books. I've read Gunslinger Girl, which I really liked. So I'm looking forward to reading this one because this is a horror YA book. Warning, do not read this at night. While camping in a remote location, Maddie Davenport gathers with her friends and family around the fires to tell scary stories. Caleb, the handsome young guide, shares the legend of the mountain men who hunt down unsuspecting campers and carve grisly antlers into their victims' foreheads. The next day, the story comes true. Now Maddie and her family are lost in the deep woods, stalked by their worst nightmares because other stories were told that night. Stories with endings far more terrifying. So this definitely sounds interesting. That is Campfire by Sean Sauls. Next book I'm going to talk about here is a book from a booktuber slash author tuber that went to BookCon, and I watched her video and gave her a shout out, so I decided I might as well pick up this book as well, and it is called Fawkes. I gotta be careful saying that word. Let's see. Thomas Fawkes is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. Silent wars leave the most carnage, the wars that are never declared, but are carried out in dark alleys with masked and hidden knives. Wars where color power alters the natural rhythm of the 17th century London. And when the king calls for peace, no one listens until he finally calls for death. But what if death finds him first? Keepers think the igniters caused the plague. Igniters think the keepers did it. But all Thomas knows is that the stone plague infecting his eye is spreading. And if he doesn't do something soon, he'll be a lifeless statue. So when his keeper paper father, Guy Fawkes, invites him to join the gunpowder plot, claim it will put an end to the plague Thomas is in. The plan used 36 barrels of gunpowder to blow up the Igniter King. The problem, doing so will destroy the family of the girl Thomas loves. But backing out of the plan will send his father and the other plotters to the gallows. To save one, Thomas will lose the other. No matter Thomas's choice, one thing is clear. Once the decision is made and the color mask have been put on, there's no turning back. Sounds interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. Fawkes? I'm still weird. I'm probably saying this completely wrong, but this sounds like an interesting book. Next book is Notes from My Captivity by Kathy Parks. This one, girl meets boy and the family is holding her hostage. Adriel Cahill cares about three things: getting into a great college, becoming a revered journalist like her idol Sidney D. Clay, and making her late father proud of her. So when Adrian is offered the chance to write an article that could get her into a dream school and debunk her foolish optimistic stepfather's claim, no, belief, that a legendary family of hermits is living in the Siberian wilderness, there's no question that she's going to fly across the world. After all, it's a trip of a lifetime. But the Russian terrain is even less forgiving than Adrian, and when disaster strikes, nothing, not the flirtatious guide or her stepdad's obsessively detailed preparations, can protect Adrian from the sheer force of nature. Now she's being held captive by the family she was convinced didn't exist, and her best hope for escape is to act like she cares about befriending them, even if it means wooing the youngest son. Sharp and sensitive, Kathy Parks' Notes from My Captivity is darkly funny and thought-provoking novel about survival, the human condition, and the power to shape your own story. So this sounds really interesting. I am looking forward to reading this. Next book is The Supervillain and Me, which any kind of superhero book I'm looking forward to reading. In Abby Hamilton's world, superheroes do more than just stop crime and save cats stuck in trees. They also drink milk straight from the carton and hog the television remote. Abby's older brother moonlights as the famous Red Comet, but without powers of her own, following in his footsteps has never crossed her mind. That is, until the city's newest vigilante comes bursting into her life. After saving Abby from an attempted mugging, Morrison's fledgling supervillain, Iron Phantom, convinces her that he's not as evil as everyone says, and that their city is under a vicious new threat. As Abby follows him deeper into their city's darkest secrets, she comes to learn that heroes can't always be trusted, and sometimes it's the good guy who wears black. So this is basically a superhero romance story, it looks like, and I'm definitely interested in checking it out. It sounds really fun. So that is The Supervillain and Me. Next book is called The Unfortunates, and look at that cover. That is a really cool cover. When a senator's son, 17-year-old Grant Tavish, is involved in a fatal accident, all he wants to do is face the consequences of what he's done. But those consequences never come, even if headlines of affluenza do. The truth soon becomes clear. Due to his father's connections, Grant is going to get away with murder. As a family tradition approaches a cave excursion on the Appalachian Trail, Grant seizes the opportunity to take justice into his own hands by staging an accident and never coming back. But before he has a chance to enact his plans, the cave system collapses, trapping him miles below the surface with 4 other teens from much less fortunate circumstances. As they struggle to survive, they share their innermost secrets and fears, and just when it seems they might be on track to find a way out, they realize there's something else down here, and it's hunting them. So this, again, sounds interesting. That is The Unfortunates. Next book is Zen and Gone. Born and raised in Boulder, Colorado, Essence McCree feels older than any 17-year-old she knows. Ever since weed was legalized, her mother has been working in a pot shop, high more often than not. Lately, it's been up to Essa to care for her 9-year-old sister Puck. When Essa meets Oliver, a brainy indoor type who's in town for the summer, she is cautious at first, distrustful of the tourist crowd and suspicious of Oliver's mysterious past in Chicago. But Puck is charmed and pushes Essa toward him. Soon Essa finds herself showing Oliver the boulders she has forgotten, the mountain parties, the long hikes, and at Oliver's urging, the exploration of Buddhism at the local Zendo. When Oliver agrees to accompany Essa on a 3-day survival game in the Rocky Mountains, she feels a lightness she hasn't known in a long time. Then she discovers that Puck has stowed away and followed them into the wilderness. After spending a night stuck in the mountain storm, Essa wakes to find Puck missing. Now, Essa must rely on her newfound spiritual strength if she is to save her sister sister's life and ultimately her own. This also sounds like a really interesting book, Zen and Gone. Next book is the first book in a series. This is called Companion of Darkness. Let's see. Within beauty lies darkness. With the mighty race of dragons bound to the Eldar, the magical world of Terralia struggles under the boot of Eldar's tyranny. Jasala, a young fairy, to choose to enter the Shining Citadel to serve as prize companion to a girl she's never seen, Lissa, the Eldar princess. She doesn't want to leave her forest home, but defiance will bring the king's dragons to turn her home to cinders. Given no choice, Jess goes to the magical citadel, a glittering jewel from a distance, a den of darkness up close. Can she find a spell to free the dragons from the Elder, or will the darkness spread to consume the world? So this is the first book in the Never War universe. Sounds interesting. Almost there. Next book is The Life and Death Parade. 1 year ago, Kitty's boyfriend, Nicky Brambley, visited a psychic who told him he had no future. Now he's dead. With the Brambley family grieving in separate corners of their home, Kitty sets out to find the psychic who read Nicky his fate. Instead, she finds Roan, an enigmatic boy posing as a medium who belongs to the Life and Death Parade, a group of supposed charlatans who explore and exploit the thin veil between this world and the next, a group whose members include Nicky's psychic and Kitty's late mother. Desperate to learn more about the group and their connection to Nicky, Kitty convinces Roan to return to the Brambley house with her and secure a position for him within the household. Roan quickly integrates himself with the Brambleys, and soon enough it seems like everyone is ready to move on. Kitty, however, increasingly suspects Roan knows more about Nicky than he's admitting, and when they finally locate the Life and Death Parade and the psychic who made that fateful prophecy to Nicky, Kitty uncovers a secret about Roan that changes everything. From rising star Eliza Wass comes a sophisticated, mesmerizing meditation on the depths of grief and the magic of fate. After all, it only works if you believe it. So, sounded interesting. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Next book, Contagion. It got in us. After receiving an urgent SOS from a work detail on a distant planet, a skeleton crew is dispatched to perform a standard search and rescue mission. Most are dead, but when the crew arrives, they find an abandoned site littered with rotten food, discarded weapons, and dead bodies. Don't set foot here again. As they try to piece together who or what could have decimated an entire operation, they realize that some things are best left buried, and some monsters are only too ready to awaken. So this sounds interesting, almost kind of an alien vibe I get from it. So that is Contagion. And this one is Scream All Night. Dario Haywood knows one thing. He's never going back to Moldavia Studios, the iconic castle that served as the set, studio, and home to the cast and crew of dozens of cult classic B horror movies. It's been 3 years since Dario's ever seen the place, after getting legally emancipated from his father, the infamous director of Moldavia's Creature Features. But then Dario's brother invites him home to the mysterious ceremony involving his father in a tribute to his first film, The Curse of the Mummy's Tongue. Dario swears his homecoming will be a one-time visit, a way for him to get closure on his past, and reunite with Haley, his first love and co-star of Zombie Children of the Harvest Sun, a production fraught with real-life tragedy, and say goodbye for good. But then, the unthinkable happens. Dario gets sucked back into the twisted world of Moldavia, and the horrors, both real and imagined, he's left there. With only months to rescue the sinking studio and everyone who has built their lives there, Dario must confront the demons of his past and the uncertainties of his future, but can he escape the place that haunted him his whole life? Scream All Night is a darkly hilarious romp about growing up and finding your place in the world. So that does sound interesting. That is Scream All Night. And this is I Am Still Alive. We can see that here. After Jess is alone, her cabin has burned to the ground. She knows if she doesn't act fast, the cold will kill her before she has time to worry about food. But she is still alive for now. Jess hasn't seen her survivalist off-the-grid dad in over a decade, but she was still healing from the car crash that killed her mother when she had to move to his cabin in the remote Canadian wilderness. Just as Jess was beginning to get to know him, a secret from his past paid them a visit, leaving her father dead and Jess stranded. With only her father's dog for company, Jess must forage and hunt for food, build shelter, and keep herself warm. Some days it feels like the wild is out to destroy her, but she's stronger than she's ever imagined. Jess will survive. She has to. She knows who killed her father, and she wants revenge. That sounds really good. And the last two books are older books that have been talked about on BookTube a lot. I know the third one of this series is actually coming out. These are the two Kelly Maniscalco books. They are Stalking Jack the Ripper and Hunting Prince Dracula. I think enough of people know what these books are about for me not to have to go over them again. But I look forward to reading these and possibly reading the third book that's going to come out, I believe, in September or October. I'm not sure. I've heard a lot of good things about this series, so I am looking forward to reading it. And those are all the YA books that I've picked up for the month of July. I obviously went a little mad and picked up a ton. Hopefully you enjoyed this book haul. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.